I've been doing card tricks for about 10 years now, and this trick is one of my favorites. And to do this color change, what it looks like is this. We use the King of Diamonds off the top, and then a random card from the middle. We use the Nine of Hearts, and we're gonna see if we can turn this king into that Nine of Hearts, just like that. And now for the tutorial, you're gonna take the deck and put it in your non-dominant hand. I'm a righty, so I'll put it in my left hand. It's gonna be underneath the deck, thumb along the left long edge, index on top, middle and ring along the right long edge, and pinky along the bottom. The first thing you're going to do is push over a couple cards off the top with your thumb, take that long edge here, put into that spot in between your index and your thumb of your right hand, and as soon as that's here, you're going to start to pinch down, and you can then continue to push off, and that will let you push the cards over. So if you start by taking this one here, so in this case is the Eight of Diamonds, and flipping that top card over, you can then push a bunch of cards off, take all the ones in your right hand and just pick them up and use that to flip over the top card of your left hand packet. So in the right hand we have it like this. Left hand is then not in straddle grip. I move my pinky to the side, which is mechanics grip, and what you're going to do is with this Three of Diamonds is you're going to push it over with your thumb, and then when you bring it back, push up with your pinky. Now your pinky is now underneath it, catching this pinky break. Take all the ones from your right hand and place it on top. That way it then has your Eight of Diamonds, a bunch of cards, and the Three of Diamonds all in this one packet. So it should be all of these cards all on top of your pinky, and then a bunch of random cards underneath your pinky. So let me recap once again. Take the top card and turn it over. Push over by taking that one and putting it in that pad. Push a bunch of cards over, pick those up, push one over, flip it, push up with your pinky to bring it back and catch the pinky break. Take the rest of the deck and put it on top. Now this trick is going to be very angle sensitive. Let me show you what I mean. Because this next move is where you're actually gonna be taking that pinky and rotating that card out. That way you can grab it and put it on top. So if I already have my pinky break and I try to rotate a card out of the middle with my hand covering it, I should be pretty well fine. That way you don't see me grab that card. Now if I just turn slightly, like this, only about not even a 45-degree turn, I do the same move, you see it come out a little bit. If I turn a little bit more, do the same move, you see it entirely. Now if I'm back at that same angle, and this time instead of hanging my hand normally, I bring my hand down a little bit, then you catch it again. This time I bring my hand up a little bit, and then you'll see it come around the bottom. You also have to adjust for how tall the spectator is. If you have a tall spectator, instead of seeing the deck like this, it'll be more flat to them, so then their angle will have to be a lot different than if you have a shorter spectator, to when you're gonna have to cover more this way. Everything's gonna have to change based on where your spectator is watching, so the main thing I'd recommend doing, finding a mirror and practicing with that and with some trusted friends. Now once you've got your angles down, you have this all squared up and your pinky is underneath. You're going to take the pad of the tip of your pinky, again not the nail, but the pad of your pinky at the tip, and you're going to put pressure up while pushing down with your thumb. What that's going to do is, that's going to allow you to rotate it out. Once it's got out a little bit, you don't have to apply that pressure with the thumb because there's enough cards on top to do enough pressure for it. And you're going to be rotating the pinky out toward your ring finger and rotating it around the ring finger until there's only a quarter of the card underneath the rest. Now I'm going to do this again because this is normally the part that people get tripped up on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pointer finger, I'm going to push down a little bit here to make this a little easier when you're trying to push this out. That's something that I did a lot when first trying to learn this move. Very, very helpful. Now once you've got this out, you don't actually have to have your pinky pushing up on it anymore, but it actually doesn't matter. If you want to remove it, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You're then going to come over with your right hand. Your thumb is going to go to this short side on top, and then this side of your hand closest to your pinky is going to go against the other short side of the card. What that's going to look like is you're going to then grab it between those two, and it should look something like this. Now because you're in this position, the spectator should not see it, again dependent on the angle. But with this palm, there's definitely some things you'll want to work on. One is just making sure you have the angle right, of course, because I do have this palmed here, but depending on the angle, you can either see it over too high, too low, underneath the wrist. There's lots of different things that you can see in different places. A second thing you want to work on is how much you bend your thumb on it. The third thing is how much you relax your fingers, because you do want to make this look natural. You don't want to have your four fingers just spread out like this, because this could look a little weird. It's actually why I pointed over here. That way these three fingers could stay relaxed and I could point with my pointer finger. You'd have some place to look. That way you're not trying to catch the card, and that way my hand stays loose, that you don't think something fishy is going on. Once you're in this position, you're going to take your right hand thumb and bring it back toward your body, and your right hand pinky should then basically be lined up with the bottom of the deck of your left hand. Your left hand, of course, is in mechanics grip and away from you. You're going to take your right hand and bring it toward the deck. Don't ever take your thumb and rotate it, that way it's facing the audience. You're always going to keep the thumb toward you, bring it over the deck, drop it off, and then that should be the change. Now from an exposed view, it will look like this. I'm going to be taking this card here. I'm going to bring my thumb back toward myself. That way I can then bring it in front of me. And as soon as this is over then that card, I can then drop it off and continue my hand motion. Now what you don't want to do is take it here, drop it off, and then continue it and make it two different moves. Best case scenario is it just wipes all the way through. So one way that you can do that and make it that easier is with these 4 fingers. When you're bringing that through, just let it hit those fingers. That way when it hits, right now, it would actually drop in front. They can bring it back and it looks all squared up by the time your hand's all the way through. So all together, it should look like this, where you flip one card over, spread through the middle, flip one card over, catch a pinky break, put it all back on top, bring it out with that pinky, palm it, bring it back, and through. But there is one issue. Once you're here, you now have 2 cards. So if the spectator says, can I have it? You can't just give this out to them. Option 1, do a double lift, and then move on to the next trick. If you don't know what a double lift is, that's when you take 2 cards and turn them over at the same time. That way it looks like you're only turning over 1 card. That one was sloppy, but you get the point. And if you want to learn a couple of different ways to do the double lift, you can check it out right here at the end of the video, because I made a full in-depth tutorial on multiple ways to do it. Now number 2 is the KM move. The KM move is something you do once you have 2 cards, any type of double lift, which in this case is what we're talking about. So I have the Jack of Diamonds and the 8 of Clubs. And if the spectator says, okay, well, Elijah, I think that's 2 cards. Well, what you can do is you can say, okay, you want it? Here you go, you can have it. This is only 1 card because I ditched the 8 of Clubs right over here. And if you would like me to put out a tutorial on how to do the KM move, let me know down in the comments below. Before I get to number 3, make sure to check out the description below and popping up right here, because that's where you'll be able to get these playing cards. And finally, on to number 3, where after you've done the color change, you have 2 cards here, like the 7 of Clubs and the 2 of Diamonds. You have these 2 here and you're like, okay, well, what do I do? The spectator wants to know if this is 2 cards. I'm like, I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. You can just actually just take this deck of cards, and it's a really simple move, especially for beginners. You take the deck of cards and you throw it and you run.